Distant Echo, this is the second episode in the unfinished Bad Batch arc. We pick up where the first one left off. We found out Echo is transmitting this algorithm from Skako Minor. I think that's how you pronounce its name. And Rex decides, both in the interest of rescuing his friend and also just getting the algorithm to help prevent the war from being lost on an axis. Not the war, the battle. He decides Anakin, and Bad Batch are going to go to Skako Minor. They go there, and it turns out he's being held in there by Wat Tomber, who I don't think we've seen on the show yet. We might have, but I feel like if we have, it's probably been like a really brief, quick appearance. So this is like the first time we've seen him on the show, and it's like a major role. I was wondering when they were going to do that. But anyway, he's holding Echo, and they fight their way to Echo, and they rescue him. There's a bit more to it than that, but that's basically the gist of it. And it was another really good episode for a lot of the same reasons that it was. There's this fun dynamic between Rex and Bad Batch. The Clone Wars has always had this great dilemma between Paragon and Unorthodox, and it's really nicely explored here. From Rex's decision to basically just screw orders and go rescue Rex. It's very much something, I guess maybe it's something like Anakin inspired him to do, because Anakin's very much like that, so it's probably something he picked up from Anakin. Also, it might just show how he's starting to distrust the Council, and how, because Rex has been through a lot. He's gone through a lot of experiences from Umbara to orders, like a lot of reasons where he's like, no, we're going to do this my way, and I wonder if this is planting the seeds for Rex's ultimate fate that was planned for him. But yeah, so if it was, a really nice job planting seeds for it here. But yeah, it was fun to see him. A lot of great one-liners from Bad Batch, like the one where he's like shooting a grappling hook at the thing that has Anakin, and I forget what he says. It's a cool line from like Tech basically proving that he's a translator. I love the little goggles he has translating stuff. Surprisingly, Anakin isn't too aggressive here. Usually he's rash and impulsive, but here he sort of acts as the mediator, keeping everyone under control. And on one end, I like it. It's nice to see Anakin in a more nicer light and less of the rash, impulsive Anakin, but it does seem a little weird and out of character for him to be this calm mediator. But I'm cool with it. The highlight of this episode was probably just finding Echo. First off, I like how we find him in this episode, and they don't, because I was kind of worried that they were going to drag it out throughout the entire thing, but it was good because there was this nice build-up and anticipation of finding Echo. Like, you can anticipate, is Echo alive? What happened to him? How did he survive? And that whole sequence is really done. From when the pot opens up and you see him all messed up to the voice Steve Bradley Baker was doing for him, like that whole sequence was just, I had my hands over my mouth like that the entire time. It was great. I'm sure like if they had finished the animation, it would have been even more powerful than it really was. And I love this ending for a couple reasons. Number one, we're at the halfway point, so there's still 2 episodes left, so we have Echo, presumably the algorithm, and it leads me to wonder, what are the other 2 episodes going to be? Like, what does Echo being alive and well mean for it? Like, is there going to be something wrong with Echo? Is he working for the Separatists? Are they still playing into Wat Tomber's hands? I'm really curious to know. Because again, we're halfway through, so there's still 2 more episodes, so it's like, what are the next 2 episodes going to be? If rescuing Echo isn't what this arc is about, then what's going to happen next? But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot going on. It was just stuff happened. We had a lot of fun character arcs, but a lot of it was just a lot of action and them finding their way. And occasionally the show would take some time out to let Anakin breathe, establish where Rex is at. And sounds like Rex is going to have a really big arc this season, because we've had Rex in episodes, but a lot of it's Umbara, I think, is the last time we've seen Rex really have to make a tough call, and it sounds like it's going to boil down to Rex having to make a tough call. And my theory is, I mean, this is based off of Saving Private Ryan, so I should see that, but I haven't. My guess is I wonder if Rex is going to have to put Echo down. That would be really dark, but it would also just be a really good Sis fate. But yeah, once again, really solid episode. I mean, I don't have that many complaints about it. My only real complaints are the scene where Watamba reveals himself to the clones. I thought that whole sequence is a little cliche. It's like the haha, you think you were sneaking around, but I knew you were coming and you fell right into my trap. Mwahaha. And the whole you won't get away with this. Like, that was, I don't know, I've heard that dialogue a million times. And, I mean, it's still a cool reveal, and it wasn't too predictable, but at the same time, I would have liked it if the dialogue had been a bit more original there. Again, still a great episode. I just wish that was handled better. And the other thing is something that's going to be a reoccurring theme throughout this arc is that why wasn't it animated? I mean, there's like, it's a very visually... Clone Wars is just a show that has been generally visually stunning and very beautiful animation. Personally, I think it's better than the animation on Clone Wars, but again, I think a lot of that's just due to better production values and having a lot more time to work on the episodes. But yeah, I mean, you have this entire planet and all these new creatures and this swamp, like all these visuals, and it's very clear that this was meant for that we did lose something when the animation was finished. It's still great though. I mean, it's still the voice acting and dialogue still hold it up. I feel like that it kind of suffers a bit, not too much though. I mean, this is still a really, really good arc. And I'm looking at my notes here and seeing if there's anything else I want to say. In the last video, I predicted that this arc would be a bit more about like strategy and less guns blazing, and there's a bit of that here, but not much. I mean, they do wind up shooting their way through Mount Seeking, but I don't feel like they ever really get any good repercussions for that. I mean, there's still two more episodes left, so who knows, maybe it'll play out, but yeah. But as of this episode, I don't really feel like the clones suffered much from their break, and they opened up the elevator and they encountered these interesting battle droids. I've never seen any battle droids designed like this, which was interesting. At least they looked like new models. But anyway, yeah, but they just show up on the elevator and they're like intruder alert, and they really didn't have any choice outside of blasting them. So, again, I don't really feel like this episode really showed the other side of the coin. But again, 2 episodes left. A lot could happen. Lot usually happens in a 20-minute episode of Clone Wars. So something's probably gonna happen. And that's all I have to say about the episode. And I'm gonna talk about something else real quick. So if you just came here to hear me talk about the episode, you can stop right now. But if not, I'd want to talk about AMC Jedi Council real quick. If you don't know, AMC Feeders, they have like this on their YouTube channel. They have this movie talk network where they basically talk movie news. And they recently started this website called AMC Jedi Council, where they talk about Star Wars news from movies to the expanded universe to Twitter questions. And I was a little bummed last week that they didn't talk about the Untold Clone Wars panel or Bad Batch, and I was hopeful that, considering Bad Batch got released this week, that they talk about it, and they mentioned it a bit, but the way they talked about it bothered me for a couple reasons. Number one is the fact that they spent a good 10-15 minutes on the 2 comics that came out. They spent good 20 minutes talking about the novel. But this 4-episode arc, each of which 20 episodes, this 4-episode arc, each of which is 20 episodes each, they just gloss over. They don't even review it. They just talk about it as news and as where it fits in the canon. I personally find that somewhat upsetting because it's a Star Wars story. You should talk about analyzing. Look at me. I'm doing these vlogs where I'm basically going in depth and analyzing each episode, like if these episodes had aired the way Filoni and the crew were intending them to air prior to the big cancellation. And And it's just a bummer these are stories, well-written stories that deserve to be talked about and analyzed this way. I mean, if the Clone Wars hadn't been canceled and these episodes had been released the way they intended to be, they would be reviewed traditionally. IGN would be doing their individual reviews of it with Eric Goldblum. Him and Rolf Cornett would probably sit down and do one of their IGN videos about it. The AV Club would be reviewing it, but instead it's just sort of getting a brush, and it's on a show as lengthy as AMC Jedi Council. I'm kind of bummed they didn't really talk about it. I mean, yeah, I get that. Not Kristian. What's the Mark? I mean, he doesn't watch the Clone Wars, so I get that he doesn't watch it. But Kristian, a guy who's a huge fan of the show, just see him just sort of brush, but not like really talk about it more is kind of a bummer, and especially considering that there's tons of people, myself included, who've been waiting for this episode, to hear this story for ages. I mean, ever since Filoni posted on his sketch a year ago that Echo is alive, been waiting to hear this story. It's like, oh yeah, whatever, and he didn't talk about it as a Clone Wars episode, he talked about it as a Rex episode, and how, this is if you want to know more about Rex on Rebels, you watch this. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but can we stop looking at every Star Wars story in the grand scheme of things? Can we just take it on its own? I mean, this is one issue I have with the new canon, is that they're so caught up, I feel in linking everything together that they kind of forget to make standalone stories. And again, considering this was written and made and put together before the whole EU is established, the new EU is established, it just seems kind of unfair just to look at it as just another piece in a puzzle. It's a great, well-written arc. I'm sure when Filoni, Brent, and Matt were sitting down, and of course George Lucas were sitting down and writing this, they were thinking they were just thinking about telling this really good clone-centric arc about this really badass batch. And they weren't thinking of, I'm sure they were thinking ahead in terms of tying it, but delivering a great episode, I think, was what came first and foremost. So just to look at it is, again, just thinking about it in terms of where it fits into everything is just, I don't know, I don't like treating it like that. But yeah, a great story should be able to stand on its own. And I'm trying to think what else. There is something else I wanted to rant about. But yeah, just the sort of glossing over it and looking at it in the context of things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about my rant. I feel like I was going to say more, but I lost my train of thought. So yeah, another great episode. Really looking forward to seeing where the arc is going. Like, dislike, subscribe, and this is JStar60, and may the Force be with you.